Hi, long time no see. I hope you didn't miss me too much. Well, in a way, I hope you did. It is okay. I'm back. Today, I'm sharing the process for that one Furina drawing I keep teasing you guys. When I say teasing, it's not like I've been showing you any sketches of work in progress, but I keep mentioning it that I've been working on a Furina drawing for quite a while now. And this drawing, it went through quite extreme changes during the process. For instance, not that it is important, but I started drawing the sketch for this piece on my phone. And this was during Genshin 4.1 version, where we were introduced to the prophecy, and there was a prophecy that Furina would be crying sitting on her throne. And I was kind of very attached to that part of it. So during the ideation phase, I thought, okay, I want to draw Furina crying, and I wanted it to look like a stained glass inspired piece. But I changed my mind later on, as you would see. But after doing the ideation on phone, I started drawing it on Clip Studio Paint, where I encountered my first obstacle, and that was about keeping Furina's eyes closed or open. This was a huge deal for me because as I was looking at Furina's references, I noticed her eyes, and they were such big, beautiful eyes, and they were so intricate. I was like really mesmerized by them. So I couldn't decide whether I wanted to keep her eyes open or closed, and I stepped away from the drawing for a few days. And so yeah, otherwise, if I decided on something, I think the drawing would have come in first week of December and not near the end of December. Well, maybe it's not really the end of December yet, but still. So after getting attached to Furina's eye design quite a bit, I decided to keep her eyes open. Well, again, their special eye design. And don't you think it reminds you of the Joker card in a pack? Well, Furina was kind of like a trump card in Fusolo's play, so I guess it makes sense. Does it for you? I've decided to put down some colors for a color test after this. After deciding to keep her eyes open, and then I fell in love with the colors. One thing, whenever I fall in love with some part of the drawing, I become very stubborn with it. So I don't want to give that up. So I adjust everything around it. I do that quite often with my drawings. So for this one, I fell in love with the colors for the second time, and initially she was supposed to be floating in water, but now I was so in love with the colors that I wanted to have that sunshine through a window, and Furina being on a navy colored carpeted floor. At least in my mind, I don't know if I've conveyed it completely, but at least in my mind, that's what is going on in the current drawing. And also, instead of showing more of her, like showing a half body, I decided to focus more on her face because, as I mentioned, I was obsessed with her eyes. So if I showed more of her body, I wouldn't be able to show the eyes quite a bit. This is a bit funny because, as you would see, I decided to close her eyes by the end of the drawing. So yeah, the choices I made. Now, the second thing about Furina's design is it's so ornate, and I had to look for references to make sure that I'm getting the details right on her hat, staff, and bow, because they were going to be key essentials in the composition of the pictures, which I've decided. But now, there was another issue, which was her bow. Now, let's go back a little bit. Recently, I was introduced to the idea of checking proportions in my drawings so that I don't end up with disproportionate anatomy or composition. For this, to avoid the disproportionateness, I decided to use a 3D Furina model to make sure that the proportions are of other items are working well. So I used her 3D model. I downloaded it from Sketchfab. I'll link it in the description below. And then I tried to upscale the image and fit the proportions similar to what my thumbnail is. And then I found out that there was no staff in the 3D model, so I then decided to go back to the official art, zoomed in to the upscale the official art and used it as reference, separate out the hat, bow and staff, and try to get the proportions right, so to make sure that I know how it's going to look like and how it's going to how the proportions of it are going to be. One thing was that the hat, it was much bigger than I initially thought, so I had to kind of the way I was positioning the hat, I couldn't really see what I wanted to show in the composition. And similarly for the bow, I found that the bow did not look good either. So because it was so small, I thought it was much bigger, but turns out the bow was so small. So these two things kind of threw me off completely. So I erased the bow. I opted for a diagonal composition now, and I actually looked up diagonal composition and figured out how to draw the grid line for it, and moved Furina to be along one of the composition lines. That was a lot. Please guys, take a break. As you can see, I worked really hard on this one. It's always surprising because I think if I'm drawing the headshots, it's not going to be that much of work, but here we are. Now we are here, and now that the composition was finalized, there was one more key thing about the composition which I needed to decide. I did not like Furina staring at me in this composition, so I thought maybe instead of her staring at me, facing me head on, maybe I should turn her to the side. And when I did that, I turned her face to the side, I found that her hair would cover most of her eyes, and this did not make sense. I tried to keep them open, but it wasn't working, and I was losing so much of detail. So in the end, for the interest of everyone involved, that is me, I decided to keep them closed. Yeah, I did that. They say kill your darlings. This is one of those moments in a story. In the story of how this drawing is made. Now that the whole composition was done, I didn't mention another thing. By this point, I also finished the Archon quest in its entirety, and I also finished Furina's story quest. So I decided to add a bit of Fossilors into this composition. So I will be adding a little bit of Fossilor. I didn't want to distract this from being a Furina's piece, but I still wanted a bit of Fossilor in that. So I just add her sneakily at the corner later on. But now that we are here, we are going to work on the painterly style, because at some point along the composition I decided that I just want to work on a painterly style. I don't want many layers in my Clip Studio Paint file. I just want to have one layer, maybe a few here and there, which I'm going to merge later on, and I'm going to work on a painterly style. And that's what I did. But the hair was looking off, so I would actually flip the canvas a little bit here and there, and I would like use the freeform transform tool to transform Furina's hair so that it looked right. I think I did a good job on that one, but something which I'm not really happy with is her nose. No matter how much I tried, I really couldn't fix it. In the end, I gave up and I tried to cover it up with other things. But let me know how that looks like in the comments. I decided to close Furina's eyes, and then I went for a serene looking Furina. So she had a small smile, and then after everything's done, all the base colors and base shading is done, I added in Furina's hand, and then I flipped it over so that I can do Fossolor's hand and show a bit of Fossolor's head in the corner. And then now for the master stroke. Now if there was anything I did not like, I knew that there's one thing I could count on, that was to add overlays and cover up all the mistakes. And that's what I did. Actually, I did like most of the drawing, but I don't know, adding overlays always improves the look of a painting, so I just used that. So I had these navy overlay so that to show that she is in shade, and I felt like the earlier sun rays which I've added, the sun ray window which I've added, the shapes which I've added was not like, they looked all over the place, and it didn't look like she was in her room or anything. So I decided that I'm going to delete the whole thing, and I'm going to add proper window kind of sunlight peeping through, so shapes which corresponded to sunlight coming in from the window. But then after, in retrospect, after the whole thing is done and as I'm editing, I noticed that I got the direction of the window wrong. So it's larger near the corner of the drawing and smaller on the inside. Or maybe I got it right. Okay, I think I got it right. So then in the end, after all this is done, I add a bit more of soft light, yellow light and soft light, which kind of rendered the whole navy colored carpet into something which looked a bit more greenish. And then I merged all the layers to a new layer, and then I added some blur, Gaussian blur, reduce the opacity, and that's the final picture. And then I signed it somewhere on the drawing, and that's it, that's done. So this is a bit of a new style of video for me, I guess. I changed a few things up because sometimes I find that the voiceovers become a bit more boring, and even like the video sometimes feels a bit more boring. I don't know if you feel the same, but do let me know in the comment and let me know how I can improve my videos. But this kind of quality is something I don't think I can keep up every week, and I do have to default going back to my sketchbook videos, but because I'm doing all of them after hours, I always end up with having not so great lighting whenever I'm filming my sketchbook videos. And also my room's a bit dark, so even during the day I don't think I can get that great of a lighting. But you know, it's just me rambling about all these small things, but otherwise it's all good. I do enjoy the videos which I make, and I hope you do enjoy them too, and the voiceovers. I'm sorry that I cannot have videos which do not have voiceovers, because I feel like a part of the reason why I'm making these videos is so that I can talk about things. So okay, I got distracted. So what I'm saying is basically, I don't know if I can keep up with this quality of the video on a weekly basis. So you'll see me doing the digital art sometimes. I'll see if I can, but if not, I'll do one video of this format once a month, so that you have something really good to look at once a month. And if you watched this far, thanks a lot. And please do like and share the video and subscribe to my channel. So I will see you again next week, hopefully. Yeah, next week's holiday, so you should be able to see me. And I hope you have a nice Christmas. So bye bye. See you next week.